But today's topic is around connecting to your inner knowing, being able to ask the universe and receive download information. And what I'd like to know is, do you feel like you can internally get accurate information on any topic you desire whenever you choose that?
Linda says no.
Okay.
I'd say I wish.
I wish, right? Yeah, I hear that.
Not always.
Not always. Cool.
Peter says sometimes.
Sometimes. Yep.
It's like I know I'm able to and I don't.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
Yep. It's too dangerous.
And we got it sometimes and rarely.
To something, yeah.
Yeah, I can get stuff about other people really easy, but for myself,
I know, really.
It's like, whoa.
Yeah. And it is easier to get stuff from other people. Like that, just kind of across the board, it is easier to get awareness about other people. But for you, do you notice that you sometimes get some, or how does it land for you personally?
Sometimes on small things, but like about business or about money or about stuff like that, it's really screwed up.
Yeah, important things.
No.
Yeah.
Not so good.
Yeah. Okay. And who else? How are you on getting internal information?
Sonia says lots of luck.
Lots of luck. Yeah.
Ditto, a couple lots of lucks.
Yep. I know that feeling. Yep.
And when it happens, it's on the button.
Yeah. So, for me personally, I had a variety of experiences, mostly in working with clients, where I could download information and hear it coming out of my mouth that would just blow the other person away. And that became normal for me. That was easy, quote unquote, to do. And sometimes I could access that for me. Sometimes I could get clarity about certain things, just to ask for information, and I could get that. But most times I couldn't get anything. And what was really frustrating about that was, here I am trying to expand my consciousness, understand more about this reality, and I felt like I'm limited to taking in other people's points of view about it. Channelers or other people who were spiritual or aware or whatever. And everybody comes from their own point of view. And their point of view, often, if I take their point of view, and it distorts my reality. Like I've got a twist to make their information work in my reality. Or they've got some good information and a lot of garbage. And so I have to somehow take it in and then weed through what the good stuff is and what the garbage is. And sometimes that was just way more work than it was worth. And so it was really frustrating for me. I hated not knowing. I hated feeling like I was in the dark and that I couldn't just ask, like, what is this? What's going on? And actually get a solid answer. And I thought, I should be able to get clear information. I know this is possible. I know it works sometimes. And it frustrated me that I couldn't get it to work all the time, repeatedly. And so I started to ask questions and use those spaces of clarity to find out, how can I get more of that? And what I ended up doing was basically research in, how does this whole asking and receiving information with the universe work? And what are the failure paths? How can I get it to work consistently? And that was my question. How can I get it to work consistently over and over and over every time? And what I ended up doing is developing this tool for me personally, that I could become better at it and clearer and better and clearer and better and clearer, to the point where my whole universe changed, because I recognized that I can now ask questions and get any information I want accurately in a perspective that is mine and useful for me. There's no distortion about it. And I learned how to do this and got it to, and it totally changed my viewpoint on reality, because now I no longer was looking to other people to get their point of view, because I had my own source internally. I didn't care what other people thought. I didn't need to listen to gurus or listen to other channelers or other whatever. Like, I could just ask and find out what I require from my perspective with clarity every time. And it totally changed the way I engage the universe. All of a sudden, it's now not, oh, I wish I knew that. It's just, well, I'm going to go do that. It was now a choice. When I wanted to know something, I would make a choice, and I had the tools to do that, because I figured out how to do that. And I kind of assumed I was the only person who had problems getting information, and that there was something wrong with me. So I assumed everybody kind of had it working. And then I start talking with other people, and they're like, really? You know how to do that? Like, how do I do that? And I recognized that this is a really useful thing that many people would like to have in their life. So I developed this tool, and I've honed it over years, working with hundreds of different people, to how do I set this up in such a way that it's repeatable, and it's simple, and it's foolproof. Like, you can't mess it up. Manipulation can't get in there. How do we work around all the bugs in the system? And that's what I want to share with you today. And the process that I have is called question mastery process. How to ask and always receive. And the key thing is always. And there are manipulations and tricks that have been inserted in the control system, in the matrix here, to prevent you from accessing this. And today I want to give you the workaround, and I want to show you how to get to the space that I am at. I want to give you the tools that I've used to get to where I'm going, and I want to give you that access, because my personal point of view is you should be able to, and you are wired internally to be able to ask and receive information, anything you desire, and get it in a format that's useful for you. And I want to show you how to do that today. I have the point of view that you have hardwired into you the capacity to get any information you desire. Like, you have a hardwired connection to the universe, and you have all the skills, tools, and everything required to use those connections that you have. However, there's this little extra thing that kind of jumped into this reality, and I call it manipulation, or the matrix, or the control system. And if you could imagine having an infinite being that has access to the universe to get any information they want, anytime they want, and you're a control system that is looking to lock down people and control them to do what you want them to do, would you be happy about having these people have access to the answers to unravel any of it instantaneously? Probably not. So my question is, how much is your inability to connect to the universe and get information something that is your problem, something wrong with you, and how much is it things that manipulation has done to block or prevent you?
Oh, it's really all about me.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Yeah. Anybody else? You may have to unmute yourself because everybody got muted. Which is lighter for you? That, like, it's a problem with you, or that it's something that manipulation has done to shift your universe so you don't have access?
That feels lighter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else?
I get a mostly blocking online here.
Mostly blocking?
Yep.
What else?
Manipulation.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else? I like to hear from you. So if you can share, unmute. I like to be interactive.
I have a manipulation on the chat.
Sonia?
Another one.
Yeah. Okay. So we're like, no, I'm going to stay muted and I'm not going to say anything. You can't make me talk.
That was me. Those were my thoughts.
I would never try to make anyone talk. I might manipulate you to
Thank you.
talk.
Thank you for acknowledging. So yes, manipulation is later.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. Yeah. So it's like we get into this habit of making ourselves wrong. But what I'd love to really sink in all the work that I do with people is when you can actually start to see what's really, really, really going on, you can't make yourself wrong anymore because you recognize it's not you that's screwing it up. It's you that has been put in an awkward, bizarre situation, and there are things that are preventing you from being the natural you. So my thing is always, how can I expose that? How can I show you what that is so that you can start to see clearly and start to take it apart? Because I know that once you are aware of what really is going on, you're going to begin to dismantle it. That's just who you be as an infinite being. You don't like things blocking you. Anybody else notice that? You don't like things stopping you?
Yeah.
It's like,
Oh yeah.
I can't do that? Okay, how can I work around that? What can I do? How can I change? Like you just, like, it's natural. Like, it just does that. But when you don't know what's going on, what do you do with that? Like, you don't know what to change. You don't know it, so you start going after you. Yeah, okay, so how can we change that? Well, I want to show you more of what is actually going on here, and then I want to give you tools for working around it totally. So part of it will be, as I start to show you this, you'll go, okay, that's going to change. and you just do that naturally. Like, even if you're not mentally thinking about it, your infinite being is just going to automatically start changing that shit. That's just the way that works. And I'm going to give you tools that when you're not necessarily in your infinite being, you can still start to get the stuff that you need anyway. All of the stuff that I present and bring through and the awareness that I have is something that I've developed by using these tools. Like, it's not that I'm special. Well, I am special, but that's another story. It's like, I'm no different than you are. I've just been asking questions. Yeah, okay, I lied. So, but it's like, I've been asked, what I want to show you is that you can use these tools to get to the same place. That's my point. You can use these tools to get to the exact same place that I've gotten to and beyond. Like, that's my objective, is how can I give you tools that can launch you into, your infinite being, standing in and fully occupying your infinite being and functioning in a way that feels good to you. I'm always like, how can I get people there? What can I show people? How can I unravel, or how can I expose things? So today's little piece is around the receiving of information and what blocks that. So I want to start taking some of this apart and show you something. So Truth, what % of your mind belongs to you, and what % of your mind belongs to the matrix? It's subtle. And what do you get?
I get that nothing belongs to me.
10%.
What did you?
Zero.
Alexandra?
Alaska. You good. I just had caviar, Alaska.
But yeah,
I have zero. Zero is mine.
Zero is yours.
And the rest,
the matrix. Yeah.
the rest is matrix. Yeah.
Very good. And who else?
0 is mine.
Zero is yours.
10%.
10%.
I get somebody who says 75%.
75% yours. Okay, cool. And who else?
10% mine.
10% yours.
30%.
30% yours. Cool. So now let me ask another question. And so what I want to show you is the more questions you start to ask and actually look at the information, you start to allow yourself to see things beyond what you've been able to see before. If you don't look, you're not going to see it. So I'm constantly taking you into looking at places you're like, oh, I don't want to look at that. Yep, let's go look deeper. That's what I do. That's how I play. So what percent of the information in your mind has been corrupted by the matrix, and what percent is authentic and accurate?
That's really interesting, Jaden. I got 5% that's authentic.
Yep. Anybody else?
I've got about 15% authentic.
15% authentic? Anybody else?
We got 95% corrupted.
90?
Yeah.
Yep.
5% authentic.
Yeah. And anybody else?
I have numbers just jumping up and down. I'm not really sure which one is mine.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's depending. So is it manipulation, or is it the way you're looking at it that keeps changing, and so the numbers keep changing?
The way you're looking at it.
Alexandra?
It's... Ask me again, please.
Yeah. So the numbers changing, is it because manipulation is there, or is it because you keep focusing on it in different ways and there's different numbers depending on how you look at it?
Ooh, different ways. I look at it differently.
Yeah.
Yes.
So as an infinite being, when we look at things, like we can zoom in and the numbers are smaller, we zoom wider and the numbers change. So we'll constantly look at things from different perspectives and different aspects. So often numbers changing is you, the infinite being, looking at it in different ways. So you just pick one way and look at it from that one way for the act of doing this thing that we do. But it's always good to ask, is this manipulation messing with me, or is it like a capacity of mine to see things from different ways? Nice, thank you. So what percent of the mental processing that you do is for you? What percent of the thinking that you do is yours for you? And what percent are you serving or processing for the matrix?
98% for the matrix processing. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who else?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm tired.
Yeah. 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 Who else?
95% matrix.
95% matrix?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Less than 5%.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's one of the things that it's like when you start looking at it, it's like, well, how much are you being used by the matrix to process information for the matrix? How much are you, it's called distributed processing, where the matrix, think of it as like a giant computer system that you're wired into, and the matrix will send you jobs to think about, to process, to untangle, and then you upload the information back to the matrix, so the matrix doesn't have to be thinking about all that. Is that kind of like something in your universe?
Yeah.
That sounds like cheap labor.
Yeah, it's like, whoa. So to go deeper into this, so what percent of the information stored in your mind belongs to you, and what percent belongs to the matrix?
25%.
Okay. What else?
Under 10.
Well, I'm seeing I'm
what?
seeing how
Under 10.
Under 10? Alex?
yeah, I'm seeing how my capacity to forget everything is being really useful here.
Yeah, what are you
This is the light side of senior moments is you don't remember, and it's not stored in there. It's a real fluidity.
Yeah. So what surprised me is, what if the mind matrix, I'll sometimes call it the mind matrix or the matrix, because it is, in my view, mostly a mental construct, or is significantly an artificial construct. Like, what if that uses your mind to store its information? How much are you a storage device for the matrix? Ew.
I get a no. I'm not a storage for
And
somebody.
you may not be. Not everybody is.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah, I'm not getting. Yeah.
Yeah, me
Some
neither.
people do a lot of processing for. Some people do a lot of storing for. Some people do other things for the matrix. Some people aren't connected to the matrix. Like there's not one. Everybody's different. Yeah. So it's seeing what's right for you, what's true for you. Thank you. Yeah. So what percent of your mind is in service to you? What percent of your mind is in service to the matrix? And so at this point, let me ask, so what is all the Wernicke's commands and all the booby traps and all the unknowable, unspeakable, unseeable, unconsciousness, anti-consciousness, energy fog around all of this? Because we started out clean, but then it blah, 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 blah. And all of a sudden you can't think anymore because we're kicking up all this stuff. So everything that all this is, can we choose to destroy and create it all?
Oh, yeah.
I choose that.
Yeah, I choose that.
I choose that.
Vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy, all dimension,
Vaporize,
vaporize,
liquefy.
all direction, vaporize, all dimension, vaporize, all direction, all dimension, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy, vaporize,
Yes.
liquefy. Yeah. So let's try that again. Yeah. What do you got?
It's Alex. I was having an awareness that when I am in more stillness, it's more my authentic mind. When I am, quote unquote, engaging in things, then I'm in the matrix.
Yeah. That's my experience.
There's a
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah.
It's
When
so there is
when stuff is
go ahead.
running and you aren't the one who's running it, who or what is running it?
Right.
Yeah. Good catch. Yeah, thank you. So let's look at it now from a clearer space. So what percent of your mind is in service to you, and what percent of your mind is in service to the matrix? In general.
I got 12% in service to me.
12% service to you?
20%.
20%?
Whole lot for matrix.
Yeah.
I now I don't see numbers at all. I just feel like with whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I just don't see the numbers.
That's how I normally get it. I feel like there's a small amount here and there's a big amount there, and I just kind of put a proportion to it. Yeah. I don't actually see numbers or get numbers often.
Thank you. I was about to make me run for that.
Oh, well, no, you feel free to do that. No, absolutely.
I was like, what? No numbers? What's wrong with me?
It's fun to make yourself wrong. Yeah, no. Yeah, I don't want to stop you there. Yeah. No, good catch. Yeah, thank you. So, what percent of your thoughts are produced by you, and what percent of your thoughts are produced by synthetic mind or the matrix?
I didn't like that.
Try that again.
I didn't like that one at all. You.
So let's clear around it. So what are all the Wernicke's commands, booby traps that are involved in this, and all the unknowable, unspeakable, unseeable, untouchable, and undetectables around all of this, all the energy fog, unconsciousness, anti-consciousness? Can we destroy and create all of that?
Yes.
Yes.
I choose that.
Yeah,
Yes.
Vaporize, liquefy,
Yes.
vaporize, liquefy. All direction, vaporize. All direction,
Vanish.
liquefy. All dimension, vaporize. All dimension, liquefy. Vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy, vapor, liquefy. Sovereign being, sovereign body, freeless, vaporize. There we go. Yeah. So what percent of your thoughts are produced by you, and what percent are produced by synthetic mind or the matrix?
Synthetic mind, all of it.
Is what?
Synthetic mind, all of it.
All of it.
Almost. Yeah.
What else?
80 synthetic, 20 me.
80 synthetic?
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Only about 15% me.
15% you? Yeah. 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 Then what I can tell is...
I have 15% now.
Cool. Like if you've done like more work on you, then you may have more you processing, but not necessarily. If you have gifts, I'll just kind of spit this out there. If you have gifts in the mind area, then the mind matrix has worked harder to lock you down. Okay? If you don't have gifts, if your gifts are in other areas, like you're just not naturally a mental person, it's not a big deal for you, you could care less, then the matrix has worked to lock down those other areas and is like, yeah, whatever with the mind, we don't care, let her have it. So that, it's all very personalized to you. Yeah, so what is all the Wernicke's commands, booby traps around all that? And all the unknowable, unspeakable, unseeable, untouchable, undetectable, unconsciousness, anti-consciousness, energy fog around all of this, and expand to the size of the universe, perceive more. Oh. And expand to the size of the multiverse, perceive more. And expand to beyond the verse, beyond that, beyond that, beyond that, beyond that, beyond all of that, and perceive all of it. Wow! And can we just try and create all of that?
I choose that.
I choose that.
Yeah.
I choose that.
I choose that. Vaporize, liquefy, all dimension vaporize, all direction vaporize, all dimension liquefy, all direction liquefy, vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy. And when I do that, vaporize and liquefy, I'm seeing this like going out like all the way out. It's past the universe and beyond. It's just wiping out everything in its path. It's just gone. To the full extent of my capacity to expand, it's clear, it's toasted, it's gone. That's what I do when I'm... So when I say about all dimensions, all directions, I'm reminding myself, I'm sending, when I go this way, I'm going in all directions. When I go this way, I'm going in all dimensions. I am toasting everything in all space, all of it. So it's very subtle. Or maybe not. Then, so the last question I want to ask you on this kind of chain of thoughts is, Truth, how much do you own your mind, and how much does something else own your mind?
See that sound?
Yeah. So what is all the Wernicke's commands, booby traps, and all the unknowable, unspeakable, unseeable, untouchable, undetectable, unconsciousness, anti-consciousness, and energy fog around all of this? And expand to the size of the universe, perceive more. And expand to the size of the multiverse, perceive more. And beyond that, beyond that, beyond that, beyond that, perceive all of it. Whoa. And everything that all that is, can we choose to destroy and create all that?
Yeah, I choose that.
Yeah, I choose that. I choose that.
Vaporize,
Yes,
liquefy, all dimension vaporize, all dimension liquefy, all direction vaporize, all direction liquefy. Vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy.
I think we might want to clear the beings that are kind of coming in and...
Yeah, that's a bit more advanced than I want to engage on this call.
Or just any other energies that are...
Yeah, can you do that behind the scenes?
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. Yeah, because I have...
Hey, Jaden?
Yes.
Can you tell me your distinctions between mind and, like, my mind versus my thoughts? For me, there's a distinction. Do you have that?
How about you share with me your distinction?
My thoughts would be like the radio station I'm tuned into, and mind would be more like the organic process of receiving that. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I don't use those same words, but my question is, what if you could turn off the radio station?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's what see, when I talk about the synthetic mind or mind matrix, That's the radio station. That's a great analogy for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And there are sometimes I hear songs, and that's
Yeah.
that's all I know. I'm like, okay, and they're playing music. Nope. Get lyrics rambling through my head. It's like I'm not engaging that. Something's playing with that. So yeah, that to me is an indicator that I'm plugged in to the matrix.
Okay.
How can we unplug ourselves in such a way? And that's a way bigger conversation. I'm just kind of introducing you to what the problem is, or one of the potential problems here. But the bigger question is, how can we unplug ourselves from that our mind is ours? And there are ways of doing that. But that's a very extended conversation that would have to happen deeper into the course. But what I'd like to do is now that you have a sense of the mind stuff, it's like, what if the mind has been conditioned and programmed to do something that's not in service to you? What if the mind has been conditioned and programmed to reorient you, redirect you, give you stimulus to take you off course, do all kinds of interesting things to basically prevent you from being authentically you and getting the information you require? And the deeper you go into the conditioning we receive, especially in education, that what if that was there to install your connection to synthetic mind? What if that was there to condition you to begin using and relying on the synthetic mind? So my interesting point of view of this reality is there's the authentic, organic reality that's here, and then there's a synthetic overlay that is similar, but not exactly the same. And the manipulation, or one of the core manipulations, is to trick you into disconnecting from, or thinking that you are not connected to the organic, authentic reality, and instead you are connected to the synthetic reality, and to get you to use the synthetic reality instead. So when you ask questions of the synthetic let's say, how many of you have stopped asking questions because whenever you ask a question, you find yourself asking the synthetic reality?
Me.
Yep, happened to me.
Yes.
Yeah. For a while, I stopped asking questions because I'm just getting garbage, or I'm basically giving them like where I'm going, and then like it comes back at me somehow, or like there's all number of things that can happen in that interaction with this control system, with this manipulation. So let's do a little clearing on that. So what are all the Wernicke's commands, booby traps around all of that, and all the unknowable, unspeakable, unseeable, untouchable, and undetectable unconsciousness, anti-consciousness, and energy fog around all of these topics? Anything we've engaged today, or ever. And expand to the size of the universe, perceive more of this stuff. And expand to the multiverse, perceive more. Wow. Yeah, go bigger, 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 bigger. Go to the beyondiverse and perceive more than that, more than that. How can you expand so big that you're outside of all that information, and expand into the infinite realms, so that information, you're like outside of it, looking at it. You're not in the middle of it. There you go. Yeah. Feel the difference? All of a sudden that information is completely different, like you're not affected by it. It's still there, but you're not affected by it because you're not in that information. Expanding is a wonderful tool. It's the reason it's the first place I go when anything's wonky. I go to expanding first. Most things just resolve right from that one act. But everything that all this stuff is, can we choose to destroy and create all that stuff?
I choose that.
Yes.
Yes,
I choose that.
Let's do
Vaporize,
it.
liquefy, vaporize, liquefy. All dimension, vaporize. All direction, vaporize. All dimension, liquefy. All direction, liquefy. Vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy. So clearing this stuff is what allows you to start to perceive what is real. So if you add Wernicke's commands, booby traps, and unknowable, unspeakable, unseeable, undetectable, unconsciousness, anti-consciousness, energy fog, I know it's a mouthful, but if you add that even if it's just energetically, tack that onto the end of anything you clear or anything you're looking at, you begin to see more instead of bumping into the walls and resistance. You're clearing the walls and the crap and the illusions and the cloaking and all that stuff that's blocking you. So that's why my objective is to expand your awareness as big and as dramatically as I can, because I know that once you see it, you're going to change it. And I'm ready to have it changed. So let's change it.
Can I ask something?
Yeah.
You said gifts of mind, and what it brought up is one of the reasons that makes me hesitant to lose my mind or like unplug from mind is like the intellectual pleasure of things and like connection with people based on mind and so on.
So catch this. You ready? You ready? So is it your pleasure or is it the mind matrix pleasure?
Ooh, I love it.
I ruined her life. I'm sorry. I was there. I totally was there. What I want to say about the whole thing is I've been an extraordinarily mental person my whole life. And as I started to move into the concept of awareness, and I recognized that there's a whole other plane of functioning, a whole other plane of information that I use the phrase awareness. It's like it just is. It's just there. It's just known. There's nothing hidden. There's nothing obstructed or blocked. It's just all there. And I can go into that space and play in it. Okay, so let me make a distinction here. So there's awareness, and then there's mind. And then there's synthetic mind. So synthetic mind wants to replace that whole field of awareness with a field of synthetic awareness that is basically programmed awareness, that when you step into that reality and you anchor that in as yours, that mental realm, that you are in synthetically generated reality that has limitations to it that are designed so that you can't think of certain things that would allow you to get out. Like there are certain things that just you can't even think about. You know, so there's sometimes where you try to think about something and like either your brain hurts or you just can't even go there. It's like I just can't even grab that. Like that's the system.
Like right now.
Yeah, like right now.
Exactly.
And that's where we stick in. So what are all the Wernicke's commands, booby traps, all the unknowable, unspeakable, unseeable, untouchable, undetectable, unconsciousness, anti-consciousness, and energy fog around all of this. And expand the size of the universe, expand the size of the multiverse, and beyond that, beyond that, beyond that, beyond that, into the infinite realms. Step outside of that. Let's give a little practice in just doing that. Step outside of that, like put it all in front of you, like you're outside of all that information, and you're just looking at it at a distance. Put it all out in front of you. Nothing behind you, nothing below you, just all out in front of you. There you go. Feel the relief that you get from doing that. Do you notice that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because you're not inside the information. The deeper we go, you're going to start to see, like, it's where your point of view is relative to all this other crap. If you're in the crap, then you're in the crap. All you have to do is change your point of view, and instantly you're outside of the crap. It really is that simple, but it takes a bit to get that. So, yeah. Everything that all this information is, all that stuff we just put aside, can we destroy and create it?
Yes, I choose that.
Yeah, I choose that. Vaporize, liquefy, all dimension vaporize, all dimension liquefy, all direction vaporize, all direction liquefy, vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy. Sovereign being, sovereign body, free will universe, vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy. So there's okay, how do I want to reland that? So your mind, the physical, biological, I call it your natural mind, has been rewired to serve synthetic mind in a lot of cases. You may have reclaimed some of that, or you may not have yet begun that process. It is a process of reclaiming and reprogramming to serve you. My mind, my biological mind, for the most part, not all the time, but for the most part, has been reprogrammed to serve me. It no longer works under the conditioning of the matrix. It works to support me, not to support the matrix. So I'm not going to explain how to do that yet. We'll do that later. But the concept that you just need to understand, right, or that I'm looking for right now, is how do we get that this is an issue, and it's going to take you a bit to kind of untangle that and figure out what's you and what's not you. But in the meantime, how do we receive information and work around all that stupid shit? Okay, so that's where I'd like to take you now. Is how do we do that? And so there's a tool that I developed in my own learning how to make this work. And I call that the question mastery process. And what this is a tool to cause me to keep asking questions, and using this structured process, I don't distract myself. I stay focused. Because mind wants to do everything to try to distract me. Like I start asking questions and then I'm off in something I need to do on Tuesday. And it's like, what the heck is that? So when I have a structure in front of me, I don't get distracted. I'm going to do this structure. And the more I do this, I internalize that. Like when I focus on asking questions, nothing gets in my way anymore, because my focus on asking questions is so absolute. And so that it's from doing this. So on this sheet here, here's how I use that. On the left-hand side, there's days of the week. And so in each day, so let's say today's Sunday, I'll come up with what do I want to actually work on today? What's up in my life right now? And I'll write down what I want in a positive sense. So if the problem is that I have problems, I can't seem to ask and always receive, I'm going to say mastery in asking and always receiving. Like I'm going to flip it around and I'm going to put it in a positive context. I'm going to put it in the way I want it to actually be, what I'm choosing to actually experience. And because we're going to choose this. If it feels right, you're going to actually go through and choose this. So you list those questions down. And then you take the first one, anything that you're going to work with, and you start plugging it in to this listing here on the right-hand side. So let's do this, and I'm going to have you do this as a group. The first thing that I want to say about it is you want to do this out loud. When you do it inside in your head, you're using often your mind. And how much of your mind are you in charge of and own and control?
Not enough.
Not enough. Thank you. Not enough. So if you're doing it in your head, the room for manipulation is extravagant. My suggestion is you do it out loud. It also allows you to involve your body. And more you're going to see, I want to show you how to get involved and get to know your body. What if it's not just you here alone creating? What if it's you and the being that is your body? What if it could be a co-creation between you and your body? So it's not just you doing it, it's you and your body. There's more focus, there's more direction, there's more co-creation involved in all of this. So saying it out loud is the other element. So let's actually run this, and I'm going to have you do this. Let's try it actually with it unmuted. We'll see how that works. I may have to mute you because it might be cacophonous, but let's try it. So it'll be what potential to, and we'll use what I have on my example here, what potential for mastery in asking and receiving is now available? And ask that question out loud.
What potential for mastery and
asking and receiving is now available?
And now touch your heart and say receive.
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 And what you want to be doing at this point, other than playing with your microphone, because I knocked it off, what you want to be doing is looking for energetic sensations in your body. The failure path here is to look to your mind. What you want to do here is not ask the question of your mind, ask the question of the physical biology of your body. So you're going to ask your body the question instead of your mind, because we've been conditioned to ask the mind. Go ask the Matrix. The Matrix knows everything. It's your friend. So we want to ask the body, and then we're not looking for an answer. Here's trick number 2. I'll get to you in a moment. Trick number 2 is we're not looking for a mental answer. We're looking for a movement of energy in the body. Because what you're going to do is you're going to receive a download of information. You're asking the body you're asking the universe through your body. Your body is part of the physicalness of this universe. So through the interconnection you have with your body, you're going to ask the universe for information, and it will be received in your body in the form of a movement of energy. So we're going to play with it. I'm oversimplifying, but it's not totally true what I'm telling you, but I'm giving you a focus that allows you to work around the matrix in a way that it can't understand what you're doing and it can't perceive what you're receiving, so it can't block you.
Jaden?
Yes.
If I could ask you this, because right now I kind of feel locked on the other side of the polarity.
Yep, so let me pause you. So allow yourself, thank you for saying that. So allow yourself to expand to the size of the universe. There you go. Yep, and allow yourself to expand to the size of the multiverse. Yep, and size the beyondverse. And beyond that, bigger, bigger, double that, double that, double that, double that. Keep going, double that, double that. There you go, double that, double that, double that. And expand into the infinite realms. How do you feel now?
Much better.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. So, we're directly challenging the whole construct that's blocking you. So, yeah. Okay, this is how you work around it. So, what is everything that's up, active, or engaged that is seeking to block, stop, prevent you here? And what are all the Wernicke's commands, booby traps, unknowable, unspeakable, unseeable, untouchable, undetectable, unconsciousness, anti-consciousness, energy fog around all of this stuff? There you go. Expand the size of the universe, perceive more. Expand the size of the multiverse, perceive more. Expand beyond that, beyond that, beyond that, beyond that, beyond that, beyond all that, perceive all of it. And so everything, all that is, can we choose to destroy and create all that?
Yes, I choose that.
I choose that. Vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy. All dimension, vaporize, all direction, vaporize. All dimension, liquefy, all direction, liquefy. Vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy. Sovereign being, sovereign body, free will universe. Vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy. Whew. Yeah. So if you find yourself in something, expand yourself so that you're not in that point of view.
Jaden, would you be interested in clearing everything and everywhere? Maybe it would resonate with anybody else. The places where I'm aware of those times where I judged myself wrong for know and be aware and receive anything and everything I asked for and more.
Yeah. So
when I was aware of that, I would judge me harshly.
Stop. You're running a story. Stop. So I just want you to look at something to see I want to show you something here. So truth, are you in you or are you in something or someone else?
Someone else.
Yeah. So you're not actually in your perspective. So allow yourself to move to you, the infinite being's perspective. Because I'm watching you, you keep running into that perspective. So that perspective will always be there until you learn how to clear that. And I'll teach you how to do that. But it's like, if you choose to stand in that perspective, you're in that perspective's hell. Do you notice that feels like shit in there?
Yeah. It's my family, yeah.
How can you give them up?
Yeah. So it's whatever that is, whatever the story is, it's got all kinds of story on it. But you're choosing to be in there as your core point of view. What you do is you choose to not be in there. Can you do that?
I choose not to be there. Yes, I can do that.
Yep. I will teach you how to clear those things. You can clear them so they're not there anymore. There's no place to go and be in that crap anymore. But if you go in it, you're in it. So yeah, just in this moment, I can't go there. So yeah, you got it. Thank you. So
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So what is everything that's up, active, or engaged here? Because some people start following other people into those places and go, wow, I got one just like that. So, so what is everything that's up, active, or engaged here in everybody's universe? And what is all the unknowable, unspeakable, untouchable, unclearable, unaccessible, unconsciousness, anti-consciousness, energy fog around all of that stuff? And everything that all that is, can we choose to destroy and create all that?
Yes, I choose that.
I choose that. Vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy. All dimension, vaporize. All direction, vaporize. All dimension, liquefy. All direction, liquefy. Vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy. Sovereign being, sovereign body, free will universe, vaporize. And for the people who already know this stuff, can you guys do clearings to clear out these beings so we can move on?
Yes, I'm doing that.
I knew you were. I could feel that. Yeah. So thank you for that. So let's ask questions here, because for some people this brings up core stuff, and that's what's happening. It's bringing up core stuff, and we're just going to stay out of the core stuff. We can just choose to put that on the shelf and not be in that, so that we can engage this and receive this. So let's ask the question. So what potential for mastery and asking and always receiving is now available?
What potential for mastery in asking and always receiving is now available?
And touch your heart and say, receive.
Receive.
And you're focusing in your body. You're just looking for shifts of energy anywhere in your body. That's it. Just pay attention to the energy shifts. It's a trick to get you out of your mind. You're looking for shifts of energy. Sometimes I'll actually rub my chest or pat myself to remind myself to stay in my body, looking here, not going up here. Okay? Not thinking. I want to stay in my body and just perceive energy. That's it. I'm only perceiving energy. So what's right about mastery and asking and always receiving that I'm not getting?
What's right about
mastery in asking and always receiving that I'm not getting?
And say receive.
Receive.
And touch your heart. And look for a shift of energy. Any energy moving, whatever. And what breakthrough with mastery in asking and always receiving is now possible for me?
What breakthrough in mastery and asking and always receiving is now possible?
And receive.
Receive.
There you go. And one of the indicators that I know that I'm really receiving big stuff is my body takes this deep breath. Like, it just does that. That's an indicator. I don't make it do that if it's not, but... So what graceful and simple resolution to mastery and asking and always receiving is now possible?
So what graceful and simple resolution in mastery and asking and always receiving is now possible?
And receive.
Receive.
And look for a shift of energy. Any energies that are moving. And what big questions can I ask to actualize mastery in asking and always receiving?
And what big question
can I ask to actualize mastery in asking and always receiving?
And receive.
Receive.
So here's another trick. If you use, like you need to know that you have evidence of receiving. You need to know that. It's not there's something wrong with you. There's a part of you that is used to, you engage the universe and you get feedback from the universe. It's a real-time loop, and if you don't feel that real-time loop, which you don't get from the synthetic mind matrix, You don't receive, you don't notice it. That's how you know you're not connected to authentic mind. You don't feel that biological feedback loop. So that what I'd like you to do is use the energy moving in your body as that evidence. I want you to make the choice that is your proof that you're receiving from the universe. It's a little trick that we're going to use that gives you what you require, and it screws with the matrix because it can't understand what the heck you're doing. I happen to enjoy doing that for some reason. I don't know why. But so ask, then tell yourself, receive, look for a shift of energy, any energy. Sometimes it's very subtle, sometimes it almost knocks you to the floor. It doesn't matter. Look for any movement of energy. Don't quantify it, don't proportionalize it, don't say this is right and this is wrong. Just if you have some shift of energy, you're receiving. If not, you're just not paying attention to your body, and focus back in on your body. And use that as evidence of receiving. So here's what this is like. This is the analogy I'm going to give you. It's like you're asking the universe for information. It doesn't give it to you in a mental linear construct. That's not how the universe works. It gives it to you in a compressed holographic sphere of information. And you may not receive it in that way. You get it however you get it. But it's like it's a compressed ball of information. And it's holographic. It's three-dimensional. It's not one point of view. The matrix gives you everything in one single point of view. The universe gives you a multi-dimensional point of view, custom designed for you. But it's compressed, it's compacted. So there's an intense amount of information that you may not yet be ready to receive and be able to process instantaneously. So what we do is receive it in the body, and it takes minutes, hours, days, maybe multiple days for your body and you to uncompress and expand all of those points of view so you can look at it. It's like getting a zip file or some kind of compressed data. You have to uncompact that, and it takes a bit to, it's like digesting. You have to digest that information first. And then what happens is you just start to know stuff, and you don't know why or how you know it. You just know it. It's like in the movie The Matrix, where they plugged in and she's like, I need to learn how to fly a helicopter. Okay, okay, I got it, let's go. And you don't know how or what, you just know it like you've always known it. That's what it's like once you get it. You don't have a mental justification for it. Awareness has no mental justification. The Matrix always has a mental justification. So here's a hint. If you find yourself mentally justifying something, it's probably not awareness. It's probably the Matrix's information, because they justify everything. That's how they process it. So that's a cool little trick. If you find yourself going, well, I know this is true because, it's not awareness. That's the way the Matrix processes information. That's the way you've been conditioned to process information. So just kind of flag that anytime you see yourself doing that. So what is all the, I've kicked up a bunch of stuff here. What is all the Wernicke's commands, booby traps, unknowable, unspeakable, unseeable, undetectable, unconsciousness, anti-consciousness, energy fog around, all of this stuff. Whoa. And expand to the size of the universe, perceive more. And expand to the size of the multiverse. And beyond that, beyond that, beyond that, beyond that, beyond that, beyond that, beyond all of that. And everything that all of this stuff is, can we choose to destroy and correct it?
Yes, I choose that.
Yes, I choose that.
I choose that.
Good.
Vaporize,
I choose.
liquefy, vaporize, liquefy.
Vaporize,
All
liquefy,
dimension vaporize, all dimension liquefy,
vaporize,
all direction
liquefy,
vaporize,
vaporize,
all direction liquefy, vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy. Sovereign being, sovereign body, free will universe, vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy, banish, vanquish, banish, vanquish, banish, vanquish, banish, vanquish. So, wow, just let all that shift, let all that go while I get a drink. So now, once I've asked these questions, there are certain things in our system until we get really, really clear that are preventing that from coming in and integrating. Now, if you receive, so one of the failure paths here is if you ask a question and then you try to force that information into your mind, you're going to get a headache. Quite possibly literally. Or you're going to just feel like bloated up here, like, oh. If you get that, grab that information, pull it out, and put it in your heart. And all of a sudden you'll feel clear. Like this information, this universal information, the mind can't process it. And believe it or not, it's bigger than the mind matrix. This information is so holographic, multidimensional. The mind matrix is not that capable yet. So it can't process that information. If you try, and the matrix will try to get you to try. It will try to get that information. So if you do that, just pull it out, put it back in your heart, and you're all fine. So, but we'll do the clearing. So what is everything preventing? Okay, it's out of context now. So we were asking the question of what big question can I ask to actualize mastery in asking and always receiving? And so we asked all these questions. And so what is everything that is preventing this from showing up? Can we choose to destroy and create all that now?
Yes, I choose that.
Yes, I choose that.
I choose that. And vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy. All dimension vaporize, all direction vaporize, all direction vaporize, all dimension liquefy, vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy. So let's then, at this point, you'll be already getting some of this information, and it'll either feel good or it's not. Like you may ask questions that are like, yeah, I'm on the wrong track. This doesn't feel right. And you'll go back up and you'll rewrite the question. So asking questions gives you information that gives you a sense of the direction, and you get a sense of whether you're in the right. You might be asking a flawed question that's taking you into limitation, and you'll get it. You'll be like, okay. But so the questions we asked so far, does it feel good to you or does it feel not good to you?
Feels good.
Feels good.
Cool. So is this having mastery and asking and always receiving something that you'd want to create in your reality?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
I choose.
Yeah. So what I've done is I plug this into the right next step. I noticed I'd ask these questions. I'm like, yeah, I want that. But how do I make this concrete and solid and real? And how do I engage this? So I built this in to the actual asking process is I choose blank, authentic universe, bring me that. And then I have now. And I'm not demanding of the universe to bring it to me now. I'm basically inviting me to recognize that I choose it now. So I have it in parentheses there. It's like now. So here's what it'll be like. So I choose mastery in asking and always receiving. Universe, bring me mastery in asking and always receiving now. So say that.
I choose mastery in asking and always receiving. Universe, bring me mastery in asking and always receiving now.
And say receive.
Receive.
So now you're now just intending, I'm going to receive that. And again, feel your body. Look for shifts of energy in your body. And what you'll learn from this is the universe operates in real time. It sounds like Marilyn chuckling. It's the universe is in real time. Like you get it now. It doesn't happen next week. It may take you till next week to like get the magnitude and start to integrate that, embody it, and engage that in your reality. But the universe does it now. So that now is reminding you that this is now. So we want to receive that immediately. And if you notice, anybody notice shifts of energy in your body?
Yeah.
Yes.
Isn't that cool? I'm like, yeah, that's so cool. So now I do the different tenses here, and it works around time. We're working around time here. So I am choosing mastery in asking and always receiving. Authentic universe, bring me mastery in asking and always receiving now.
I
am choosing mastery in asking and always receiving. Authentic universe, bring me mastery in asking and always receiving now.
And receive.
Receive.
sense your body, look for shifts of energy. So the last one, I have chosen mastery in asking and receiving. Authentic universe, bring me mastery in asking and always receiving.
I have chosen mastery in asking and always receiving.
Authentic universe, bring me mastery in asking and always receiving now.
And receive.
Receive.
And notice the sensations in your body. That's good, isn't it?
Awesome.
Yeah. Because what you're doing here, my interesting point of view, is you're focusing in asking questions. You're getting to a place where you're like, yes, I choose that. And then you're committing to that. You're telling the universe, let's do this. Let's do this. And you can feel that in real time. Use this information that you get in your body as your proof that you are asking and receiving. Use this evidence. It does something that really locks it in that you get that you're getting it. And once you get that you're getting it, you totally step out of all the stupid bullshit because you recognize you can ask and receive anything you want, anytime you want, and you'll go to town. And it is so damn cool what you can do to your reality. People ask me, like, how do you get all this stuff? How do you do all this? How did you figure all this shit out? I did this right here. You're looking at it. I want you to do this too. You can do this too. Right here. This is all I did. So the last step is, what is everything in the way of preventing this from showing up? I choose to destroy and create. Will you choose to destroy and create all this now?
I choose that.
Yes, I choose that.
Destroy and uncreate all of it.
Vaporize, vaporize, liquefy, all dimension vaporize, all dimension liquefy, all direction vaporize, all dimension liquefy, vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy. And how do you feel?
Tingly.
This was brilliant. I mean, before we started, it was like manipulation was coming in and making me like almost want to cry because it was so big and so much. And now it's like my body's laughing.
Yeah. And what's fascinating is there'll be times in receiving where I remember in the early days when I started doing this, I'd be like asking and I'm like, oh, I can't receive anymore. Like that's just so much. Like, I'm just full. And I bought that for months and months and months and months. And then now I ask the question, well, is that me that's full or is that something else that's full?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they're not infinite beings. They can't handle that much perspective. You're an infinite being. Like that's your natural language to see all. Like when you ask this question, you're getting almost an infinite number of perspectives, holographically, 27 dimensional. Like it's like, whoa! And more finite beings are like, whoa! They're just absolutely fried by that. They just can't handle it. You're like, yeah, finally, yeah. All right, yeah, this is the way it's supposed to be, right? You feel that? Like this feels good. It's like, yeah, this is the way it's supposed to be. What if that's the way it's supposed to be? I'm reconnecting you to your natural system just by working around all these weird-ass little manipulation things. So let's do one more of these. So let's do the next one here, trusting my capacity to ask and receive. So what potential to trust my capacity to ask and receive is now available?
What potential to trust my capacity to ask and receive
is now available.
And receive.
Receive.
Sense your body. Look for shifts of energy. And I want you to get in the habit for a while. Actually say the word receive and actually touch your chest or your heart. Actually do that. Remind yourself, I'm body-centered. I'm connecting, I'm getting this, doing all this in the body. So what's right about trusting in my capacity to ask and receive that I'm not getting?
What's right about trusting my capacity to ask and receive that I'm not getting?
And receive.
Receive.
And look for shifts of energy in your body. Anything at all. And the brain will go, oh yeah, that's just indigestion, or that's just... like, thank you, brain. You're cute. I love you so much. Goodbye. I don't know, I lost myself here. That's the other thing. I lose track sometimes because I'm so in the receiving of it. Yeah.
I feel like contributing something.
You feel like what?
I feel like contributing.
Okay.
My perspective, yes. I felt a little, there was like resistance with all the demands. I choose that and so on. What I found, I'm just saying what works for me. And maybe somebody would feel that it worked for them too. When I started recently just to ask, okay, universe, could I have this? All the time I get a yes. Then I don't just dissipate everything that's on the way of it. I just ask, universe, is there anything on the way of me getting this? And all the time there's nothing there to prevent it. So I'm like, okay, I choose it. I'll have it now. And it feels so much lighter than demanding and fighting with something that I probably just create myself or limitations.
Yeah, so let me pause.
Not even there.
Let me pause you. Yeah, that's a great workaround. There's the other piece that I want to stick in there is how much is it you resisting it and how much is it something else resisting it? Because what's happening here,
something else resisting it.
What's happening here is we're receiving and we're choosing. There is always going to be resistance. And the more focused you are, not always, in the beginning there's going to be resistance. Let me say it that way. Until you clear it, and I'll teach you how to find and clear all of this stuff. But in the beginning, that resistance is there. There's you, the infinite being, that just needs to say, I choose this. I don't care if I'm 1% and 99% says no. I don't care. That 1% of me is going to say, I choose this because that's what I'm choosing. And I'm going to ignore the 99% because it's not me, it's someone or something else. And it's going to take, I'll show you over time, like how to perceive all that stuff and actually how to clear all those other something else's out that are blocking you. There's an immense amount of shit that's blocking. Absolutely immense. And you can uninstall and clear all of it and actually get back to a quiet universe where you don't have crap telling you what to do and what you can't do. And you just start to do what you do. And you just be you. That's where I'd like to take you. So, what breakthrough in trusting my capacity to ask and receive is now possible for me?
What breakthrough trusting my capacity to ask and receive is now possible for me.
And receive. Wow. And just look for sensations in your body. That's it. We're never looking for answers here. And a failure path is sometimes the mind will insert answers. Oh, this is the right answer. And if you buy it, you've now attached to mind and you're running with mind. So even if you get an answer here, ignore it. It's just, I'm just receiving. That's all I'm doing. If you don't look for answers, it's counterintuitive, but it works. And what graceful and simple resolution to trusting my capacity to ask and receive is now possible?
Graceful and simple resolution to trusting my capacity to ask and receive is now possible.
And
Receive.
And just look for sensations in your body.
Jaden, it's Wilma again. I just want to say, somewhere towards the middle of today's call, I was feeling, I feel drawn to share it because it feels like very immense for me, that when I'm receiving the downloads, it's like instantaneously, and I can feel when we ask the question, it's almost as if there's some sort of liquid that just flows out from my body. So it's a brand new feeling for me. So it's really interesting, and I'm accepting I don't know if you can see our energy when you're talking to us on the call. I know you can, but I don't mean it. Yes. But for me, it almost feels as if it's been an immense shift that it's like a new beginning. It's really weird to explain. It's just I'm aware that whatever is flowing is flowing.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I just wanted to share that.
Yeah. So I also want to check, because this is, I check everything all the time, ad nauseum sometimes. It's like, so how much of that is manipulation and how much of that is you becoming aware of a natural system?
I'm hoping it's the latter.
See, we don't want to go into that. We want to actually just check it. So which is lighter for you?
Okay.
So how much of it is manipulation and how much of it is you perceiving a natural system?
Me perceiving an actual system is lighter.
Okay. Say the other one, just that I hear the difference.
Manipulation. Yeah. It's actually manipulation.
Yeah, there's light. Yeah. So we just check it. Anytime I notice that I'm defending a point of view, like, oh, it's got to be this, or I don't want it to be that, there's generally some kind of manipulation in there.
Really?
Yeah, isn't that cool?
Wow.
Yeah. So I always check that. Anytime I notice something weird, it's like, okay, so what is me and what is manipulation? Yeah. And I can show you, in the future, I'll show you actually what that is and how to untangle that. But you're just choosing, like, okay, whatever. If it doesn't belong, out. Yeah, just clear it.
And the form, structure, significance, please.
Yeah, thank you. And so and on all of these things, what is all the form, structure, and significance that you have around all of this? Oh, just a little bit. And expand the size of the universe, perceive more. And the multiverse, perceive more. And beyond that, beyond all that, perceive all of it. Oh. And everything all that is, can we choose to destroy and create all that?
Yeah, we choose that.
Choose that.
Yes.
Vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy. All dimension, vaporize. All dimension,
liquefy,
liquefy. All dimension,
vanish.
vaporize. All dimension, liquefy. Vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy. Thank you for that. So, what big questions can I ask to actualize trusting my capacity to ask and receive?
What big questions can I ask to actualize trusting my capacity to ask and receive?
And receive that.
Receive.
And tune into your body. Look for a sensation in your body. Yeah. And now, what is everything that's that's preventing this from showing up? Are you willing to choose to destroy and create all that?
I choose.
Yes, I choose.
I choose that.
Choose that. Yeah. Vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy. Sovereign being, sovereign body, free will, universe, vaporize, rescind, revoke, recant, reclaim, renounce, denounce, destroy and create. Vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy. Banish, vanquish, banish, vanquish, banish, vanquish. Vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy. Whew, just let all that go. And then, does trusting your capacity to ask and receive seem like something you want to choose?
Yes.
And it may not, and there's no wrongness about that. It's like, it's just, this is the point where you ask, is this something I want to choose, or do I go back up and I refine my question? So that's how I use this process. So for those who do want to, so I choose trusting my capacity to ask and receive, authentic universe. And I'll say, bring me that now. Sometimes I'll just put that in there. I choose that. Bring me that now.
I choose trusting my capacity to ask and receive. Authentic universe, bring me that now.
And receive.
Receive.
Whoa. And just feel that. Sense that. Acknowledge you're receiving. If you sense energy in your body, just feel that. And I am choosing, trusting my capacity to ask and receive. Authentic universe, bring me that now.
I am choosing, trusting my capacity to ask and receive. Authentic universe, bring me that now.
Yeah, and receive.
Receive.
Just looking for sensations in your body. That's it. Looking for sensations. And I have chosen trusting my capacity to ask and receive. Authentic universe, bring me that now.
I have chosen trusting my capacity to ask and receive. Authentic universe, bring me that now.
Now.
And receive.
Receive.
And just look for a sensation in your body. Yeah. Yeah. There you go. And what is everything that is preventing this from showing up? And can we choose to destroy and create all that now?
Yes, I choose
that.
I choose that. Vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy, all dimension vaporize, all direction vaporize, all dimension liquefy, all direction liquefy, vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy, resend, revoke, can't reclaim, renounce, denounce, destroy and create, vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy, vaporize, liquefy. So that's my ask and receive process. You can, if you've been following this and you've been feeling it, you get how potent this can be in your life. My suggestion to you, my strong recommendation to you, my invitation to you is to do this for 30 days, every single day. Morning, I used to do this in the morning when I get up, or at night before I go to bed, or sometimes I do it in the morning and at night, or sometimes I would do multiple times during the day, like whatever, but I want to say at least once a day. What happens is when you do this once a day, you get into a habit that starts to shift everything. Of all the tools that I have, and believe me, I have a lot of tools that can shift almost everything that I know of in anybody's reality. This one tool is going to make the biggest difference. If you get this, you will start to ask questions automatically instead of accept limitation. You'll automatically go into question instead of acknowledging limitation. Automatically, you'll start to think different. You'll no longer acknowledge limitation as real. You'll see it as something that, well, I can just change that. Because you now get that you're in communion with the universe. You can get anything you need. You just ask and you receive. Now, you won't know this 5 minutes from now. It may take a day to get this. It may take a week before you get this. When I started doing this, I was having issues with my sinuses being plugged up for reasons no doctor could understand. And so I was like, well, what is this? Okay, this is something really bizarre. What is this? And as I kept asking questions, I'd get this stuff that I don't understand. Like I would just start to, no, let me rephrase that. I would start to get different things than I would expect. So you're conditioned to look at the world in this way. What's locking you down usually isn't what you expect. It's something over here, or something over there, or something completely different than you would think. And by asking questions, all of a sudden I started feeling compelled to start looking at other things about my reality. And I kept getting this thing about food, and looking at food. And I'm like, what is that? And looking at allergies. And it turned out that I had food allergies that were plugging up my sinuses. There were certain foods I was eating that were causing my sinuses to swell up and I couldn't breathe through my nose. But I wouldn't have thought of that. Like that was just so totally out of left field for me. Now it's like obvious, but back then it was not. But that was the first step. And it wasn't just an allergy to food. There was more going on. And as I kept asking questions, that more started revealing. Like I started feeling compelled to dig deeper into it. Like it's an internal thing that starts to awaken things inside of you. You start to unfold from the inside out. You don't necessarily wake up in the morning and go, bing, I know exactly what to do with this. You start to have an expanded awareness that gets you to look in other directions, and then things start to come through that avenue. It opens the doors in other ways. It also alerts the universe, I'm choosing this, And the universe starts bringing you those resources. They start knocking at your door. Like people will send you emails or programs about certain things that are exactly what you need, but if they're not what you're expecting, now you're aware of it and you're like, oh, that's interesting. What is that? And down the road, you put it all together. So a failure path in this is if you see other people facilitate. Like if you see me work with people, people will ask me questions, and I'll ask a question and I'll instantly get a sense of what's going on in their universe. Now, that doesn't work that way for me. I can ask about another person and I can receive information in a way that I can very quickly, like in the moment, know what to say and what to ask. And it's also very practiced in my reality. That's not how it normally works for you. So if you're expecting that you're going to ask a question and then get an answer and go, ta-da, I know exactly what this is, aren't I brilliant? You're going to sabotage yourself. It doesn't work that way. When I ask this, I don't get stuff from me like that. I just get energy. And hours, days down the road, I start to get, that's what that is. So a failure path is looking for it instantaneously. If you get something instantaneously, 99.9% of the time, it's from who?
The Matrix.
The Matrix, yeah. And not so useful. Okay. So just review. Notes for how to master this whole thing faster. 1, say it out loud. You can have your body participate. 2, receive through the body and awareness. You're also getting awareness here, but don't. I found focusing on that is a mind trip. So no mind. Focus on body, and anything mental, ignore it. Practice this every day for 30 days until this becomes natural. So helpful things so practice it for 30 days until it becomes an ingrained habit. I promise you, your reality shifts and things become different. It empowers you to do that. Do it. It's like a muscle. It builds capacity with practice. In the beginning, you may only be able to do a little bit of receiving. Over time, you'll be able to receive huge, huge things and really shift big stuff. And then a last note on this. Channels are blocked and scrambled. Your normal channels have been blocked and scrambled. So you'll think your natural instinct is like, oh, I can't go that big. Go bigger. Go bigger. Go bigger. Go bigger. Outcreate it. Receive so big that you just fry everything that's blocking and scrambling. You see the difference there? Like, we're not going to honor that as a limitation. We're going to fry it. Also, if while you're asking something, you find yourself in a space where it's like, wow, that's just too big to receive, what you can do is ask yourself 3 times, what else is possible? So it's like, I asked the question and I'm like, oh, that's too big. I'll ask, and what else is possible? And then I'll sit with the new information of what else is possible to receive the question that I'm currently asking. It's like, oh, well, that is what else is possible. And then I'll ask again, and what else is possible? And until I feel like yeah, okay. So usually if you ask that 3 times, there'll be a relaxing, and whatever was blocking you in that moment just gets kind of blown out of the water and you go past it. Okay? So what stops receiving? Very precisely, receiving in your mind. Thinking during receiving. If you receive and mind starts to give you solutions, just ignore them. Don't think, or it shuts you down. You can't think and receive at the same time. Most people can't. You can train yourself to do it, but you get it. If you need to know an answer, you'll stop receiving. Like if you oh my God, I need to know. No. If you're just accepting it, and I'll know tomorrow, the next day, whatever. Like the significance around knowing it, needing to know it now, shuts it down. So feeling full and stopping, is it you that's feeling full, or is it something else that's feeling full? Probably not you. Questions on that?
Can I just add something? Sometimes it's really helpful if you're having trouble feeling and receiving is to get up and move around a little bit.
Cool. Yeah.
You don't forget your body also needs to have attention paid to it.
Yeah. Thank you. And I want to show you just a concept of how I use this. So I still use this. Like I developed this 2 years ago or something like that, and I do the asking and receiving thing very naturally. But I still, when I have things that are glitches in my reality, I go and work on them. So what I did was I took last week's sheet and I actually typed it out so you could see. This is actually what I wrote on my sheet, not in purple, but in light blue. So I was working on, my questions were, how can I neutralize, eradicate all disguised manipulation from the physical body? And how do I pull all of manipulation's access and connections to my authentic body? So that was the focus I was on, and it is actually related to diet stuff. That was actually my focus. Like I'm relentless. I will go until this changes. That's who I be. So I want to show you how this works. There's an evolution in your asking of questions that occurs day after day after day after day. And I wanted to show you my evolution here. So on the one day, on Sunday here, I asked those questions. On Monday, or what happened after Sunday, is I started to, so I'm asking, how can I neutralize and eradicate disguised manipulations? So I'm actually asking, what are the disguised manipulations? And how can I pull all of their access and connections to my body? So I'm saying, I'm serious here. How can I pull all disguised manipulations? All of a sudden I became extraordinarily aware of synthetic mind in my reality. Like, it was there and it was cloaked and it was hidden and it was in ways I hadn't seen, but it was up and active in my reality and I didn't get it. But by asking this question, all of a sudden I became very present to it. Whoa, okay. So the next day when I sat down to like, okay, what do I want to change or create more of? I'm like, synthetic mind. So eliminating and eradicating all synthetic mind systems and connections, and automatically repelling and rejecting all synthetic mind connections to my authentic inalienable body mind. So what happens is there's you connecting to mind, like you may sometimes intend, I'm going to connect to synthetic mind because I need to think or I need an answer, and so you're programmed to go to synthetic mind, or you'll be minding your own business and synthetic mind puts these feelers in and connects into you. So sometimes it connects to you. So my second question was, how can I repel and reject those connections that are seeking to come in? Like, I'm aware of that. I can witness it at times. So here's the flow. I didn't know what was going on, but I wanted to neutralize and eradicate it. I then found, when I asked those questions, I found it was synthetic mind, and that surfaced in my reality. So I started asking these questions and choosing these things. When you do this, one of the things I do is go big with questions. Go bigger than you would ever think to go. Like when I first started, I was like, eliminate and eradicate all synthetic mind systems and connections. I instantly went into fear. I'm like, oh my God, what if I need those? What if there's connections that serve me? What if there's connections that help me? Like, oh my God, what do I do with that? And I would naturally want to go, oh no, I better not eradicate all of that. Like, how about just some, and I'll water it down. I've done this long enough now. Like, I get how this works. That's manipulation, is desperately afraid. So I am going to go big all the time. My invitation when you're doing questions is to see how big you can go. Always. How big can you go? It's the reason here I say, what big questions can I ask? How big can you make this? Because the bigger you go, the more likely you are to grab a big enough piece to actually make a big change, which is what you're probably looking for. So I asked these questions on Monday. Tuesday, I would expect that I'd come back in and want to do that or something more intense. But Tuesday comes in and what is right there is have a quiet mind. I hadn't been focusing on what the target was. My next question was, I choose what potential to have a quiet mind is now possible for me. And I choose to have a quiet mind. Universe, bring me a quiet mind. And that was like a big shift for me. That one thing like really shifted things in my world. Have a quiet mind. And then after that, it was exterminate all synthetic connections to my authentic, inalienable body mind. Like, how can I pull all of those connections out? And then the next day, the quiet mind came back up again. Then this is interesting. I only noticed this looking back. As I was writing this, I'm like, I didn't actually ask questions on Thursday or Friday. What was up with that? Well, it felt quiet. So I was hacking at synthetic mind, and synthetic mind was very resistant. On Wednesday, it was fighting me. Mid-Wednesday, after asking these questions, it stopped fighting me. It got quiet. Thursday was quiet. So there was no problem. I didn't go to ask questions. I was like, wow, I did it. Actually, I didn't even think about it. It wasn't up, so I didn't do it. Friday, it wasn't up either, but it was subtly starting to happen in the background, but I wasn't thinking of it. By Saturday, my mind was noisy again. So I went back to have a quiet mind. So by logging this, you start to watch the process and the evolution and the dance that occurs. You start to see more. Not only do you download information, you start to see how consciousness works, and you start to see your interaction with all of this. So I'll often go back and look at the flow of my questions, and it's amazing to see what these upper questions brought out in the lower questions. So any questions on that?
Thank you for that. That explains a lot how to kind of get bigger and get some progress or some more awareness.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah. Anybody else?
So we just choose the questions on the day as whatever is coming up?
In that moment. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. In that moment, I go, what do I, like, from the space of here and now, what do I choose to change or create more of? Other questions?
I got chatter. Something is going on. My body is walking around the room. I'm just like, what is happening? I don't have questions. I have some, I don't know. Something.
Yeah. So how does the concept of receiving feel to you now?
Much better.
Anybody else?
What was the question?
How does the concept of receiving feel to you now?
Bigger.
Yeah.
Light. Very light.
Yeah.
More tangible.
More what?
Tangible?
Tangible.
Tangible.
More possibility.
Yeah.
More ease and grace.
Nice. Yeah, more easy.
Possible.
Possible. Oh, I like that. Yeah.
Jaden?
Yes.
I see that with all this chatter that I have going on right now, it feels like I'm facing some kind of defense that I have, maybe something installed before, that like I gotta protect, my authority here. Yeah. Like, Jaden is trying to rule here. And I don't like Jaden ruling, even though he has some pulls. It's just, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So is that your point of view, or is that manipulation's point of view?
Is it my point of view?
So
no, it's not. No, it's not my point of view. But when I say like when I get the no, there was like almost internal cry in a chest.
Yeah.
It's not mine, but
yeah. So let me pause you. So two things. One, so expand to the size of the universe. We could. How about everybody do that? Expand to the size of the universe, and expand to the size of the multiverse. There you go. And expand to the size of the Beyondverse. And beyond that, beyond that, beyond that, beyond that, into the infinite realms. So the noise and the garbage is in the smaller compacted spaces. When you shrink down to all that stuff, it's your whole world and it's bigger than you are. When you expand, what happens?
It's little.
It's like, okay.
Yeah, it's like, oh, go away. That's the reason that I do that first, because it works. Our next call specifically, I want to show you how you as the infinite being and your point of view is being used against you to totally fuck with your reality. And once you see this is the last big piece that I have for you. Once you see this, you're going to go, oh my God, I get it. And it's going to shift the way you engage the stuff that's going on in your reality. But the core. Say it again? Yeah, so you definitely
don't miss it.
You definitely don't want to miss the next call.
Yeah.
So the thing that you want to look at is what your point of view is. And are you in your point of view, or are you in a really small point of view? And when you expand out, wow, all of a sudden, it's all different. So I want to show
somebody else.
Yeah, it's something else's point of view. Yeah. So I want to show you, I want to wrap up now. And so I want to kind of just give you a sense of what I've learned about receiving is I used to do these big calls with people, and I used to do sessions. Well, I still do calls and I still do sessions, but I would do these programs and individual clients, and at the end of it, I could feel there was stuff that wasn't resolved that I knew that I wished could resolve before we left. Like, we opened up stuff, we've hacked through stuff, we've done things, and it's like, what would it take to exit really cleanly? And what I learned is I can do what I call receiving at the end. And it cleans stuff up. And so I want to invite you into this, and you'll notice from now on all the calls that I do, I'll end with this receiving. Now that you get how this works, is I would just like to open you up into free form receiving. And so allow yourself just to sit back and put yourself on mute if you haven't already. And allow yourself to go into receiving, full bandwidth, full spectrum, full body, receive. Just intend that. And I'm going to bring up these things and just allow yourself to engage the energy of it and receive the download in your body. So what energy, space, and consciousness can you and your body be to be able to receive naturally and simply and organically all the time with simple ease and receive? Yeah, and all the time had a glitch in there. I'm going to pull time out. So what energy, space, and consciousness can you and your body be to ask and always receive with simple ease and receive? Yeah, that's better. And just sense your body, and we're just looking for shifts of energy. And what energy, space, and consciousness can you and your body be to get receiving at a depth and a clarity that you know you can ask for anything you desire and be able to receive that information instantaneously and receive? And I got this little grin on my face. And what energy, space, and consciousness can you and your body be to be able to receive in such a way that you run circles around limitation, that they can't even figure out what you're doing or how you're doing it, and there's no way they can block you? And receive. And what energy, space, and consciousness can you and your body be to be able to know, ask questions and know everything that you desire or require to change all the elements of your life that aren't working for you right now. All with simple ease. And receive. And just look for shifts of energy in your body. Yeah, and receive. And what energy, space, and consciousness can you and your body be to allow yourself to outcreate manipulation on every level, in every aspect, in every area of your life, so that you are back the one calling the shots and choosing how your life unfolds. And receive. And what energy, space, and consciousness can you and your body be to have fun doing all of that? How can all of that just be a ball? Just be so totally playful and light and fun and easy and simple that you just totally enjoy asking questions and changing stuff, and it's just absolute delight to engage and receive. And now if you want to take yourself off mute, how do you feel now?
Awesome.
Lighted.
Lighter? Yeah.
Delighted.
Yeah. Delighted. Yeah. What else?
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Great. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Bigger than manipulation.
Yeah. Because what if you're an energetic being? And what if receiving is an energetic act of becoming more of who you be as an infinite being? Interesting. What if you're actually receiving more of you when you ask these questions? What if you're actually becoming more of you when you ask these questions? Just an interesting thing to play in. So I want to do one last thing, and that's allow yourself to bring in 1,000% of your authentic, inalienable soul, spirit, natural mind, and just completely fill your entire space with your authentic, inalienable soul, with your authentic, inalienable spirit, and your authentic and inalienable natural mind. And just fill all of the space in all of the universe and beyond. And body, I'm going to invite, and so I'm talking to your bodies. So body, bring in 1,000% of your authentic, inalienable soul, and 1,000% of your authentic, inalienable spirit, and 1,000% of your authentic, inalienable natural mind. And just fill all of this space. And anything that is structures, constructs, adaptations, mutations, or systems, just allow all of that to be flushed down the drain. Just absolutely flush it all away. And bring in 1,000% of your authentic, inalienable soul, spirit, natural mind. Again, refill all this space. Flush anything That's a construct. And overflow and connect to the organic, authentic, biotic planet. The authentic planet of life, of living, versus the synthetic planet. And body, again, bring in 1,000% of your authentic soul, spirit, natural mind, and overflow and connect to the authentic living planet. Wow. So thank you all for joining me in this program. It is awesome to feel the difference between you at the beginning of the program and at the end. Do you feel how much more expanded you are? Isn't that cool?
Awesome.
That's so cool. I love that. That's so cool. So thank you all for coming and playing in my sandbox today. And
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I encourage you to print this out and commit to doing this every day for at least 1 month. At least 1 month. Minimum 1 month. Will you
I choose
Got thank yous on the chat.
Yeah.
Peter and Lynn.
Hayden,
Yes.
could I just ask, make a quick point or question?
Okay. Yeah, it's one moment thing. Let me just put in a thing and then we'll come back to yours. Okay? So I wanna just do okay. Yeah, what do you got?
Oh, okay. We were just talking earlier about mind, and abilities and capacities, and sort of one way to me was that how much is told or manipulated into thinking that they are talents and abilities when they're actually not.
Manipulation will use everything it can, whether it's true or not. So,
can I ask what were your examples of abilities with the mind, and then just how much, if we're then buying into that and defending them, then we're going to hold on to them.
So do you find yourself to be a fairly mental individual?
Yeah, I know I've had a lot of that going on.
Yeah. So you likely have gifts with mind.
But are they gifts, or are they just we've been told that they're gifts?
Well, if I've just you're playing games with it that don't necessarily need to be played with, but you're welcome to play with it. What I do with it is just I know that we have an immense amount of gifts, and this reality has made it so we can't perceive them, and it's just about you naturally stepping back into you. If you don't look at it as how do I used to try to take people into actually getting their specific gifts back, because I can do that with people. But what I found is that it kind of kept hitting walls because there's so much crap built up that actually the most direct way to do it is to just become more of you all the time and not really worry about your gifts. Not try to specifically go after certain gifts, because the act of going towards that is going to cause them to build up more walls and resistances and whatever, fortifications. So if you just intend to be more of you, you'll become more of all of your gifts.
Okay, that's
does that make sense? Yeah. And whatever manipulation, like I don't care what my gifts are. And I'm not going to struggle with that anymore. But I do notice when I'll ask something and manipulation will step in. And I'll teach you, I don't know to be able to do it in the free videos, but later in the course, I'll teach you very explicitly how to tell what is manipulation coming in, what is you, and how to clear all that stuff so it can't come back anymore. Like, what if you have the capacity to actually clear house and it's all gone? Like, it's just quiet again. That's where I'd like to ultimately take people. Yeah.
Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. So thank you all for coming along on this ride, and we'll see you on the next video.
Woohoo!
Thank you, Jaden. Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Aloha, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.